Following that protective order hearing, which the judge has not yet ruled on but should this coming week, she decided to add a new attorney. Now remember that Stephanie Jones is the reason Blake Lively has all those text messages that she gave to the New York Times and put in her complaints against Justin and Wayfarer. Important to note that Justin, Wayfarer, Jennifer Abel, etc., they may lose this case against Stephanie Jones. However, that does not mean Justin harassed anyone. It has nothing to do with that at all. Pains were revealed in black and white on Abel's company-issued phone following her termination, which JonesWorks forensically preserved and examined in detail after receiving a subpoena for the phone's contents. So she did get a subpoena. Don't get me wrong, it's a wonderful feeling when you don't like someone and they do something mean to you to be able to tell them to suck it. However, if you're gonna do all this dumb shit ahead of time, you might want to keep it in your pants. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Court of Random Opinion. My name is Neidigh. If you dialed into last week's protective order hearing in the Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively case, we heard a lot in the beginning about the publicists involved in this lawsuit. One of those publicists who is suing Justin and Wayfarer, among others, is Stephanie Jones. Following that protective order hearing, which the judge has not yet ruled on, she's now added a new attorney on behalf of her and her PR firm, JonesWorks. Now remember that Stephanie Jones is the reason Blake Lively has all those text messages that she gave to the New York Times and put in her complaints against Justin and Wayfarer. Jennifer Abel, who is also named in this lawsuit as a defendant, was a previous employee for JonesWorks working for Justin and Wayfarer. While employed by JonesWorks, Jennifer Abel was using a company-issued phone. However, that company-issued phone was tied to the personal phone number that she's had since she was much younger. Now, despite the fact that it was her personal phone number, she did enter into this agreement knowing that it was a company-issued phone and that they would be able to take the device upon the termination of her employment. This brings about one possible explanation of where is the subpoena that they keep saying they filed to get access to all the text messages from Jennifer Abel's phones. First, let's take a look at this new attorney. To the clerk of court and all parties of record. I am admitted or otherwise authorized to practice in this court, and I appear in this case as counsel for plaintiffs Stephanie Jones and JonesWorks LLC. Signature J. Anthony King. I'm not going to go through his whole bio, but here's a little bit about Mr. King. Anthony has been a complex civil and employment trial lawyer in federal and state courts, as well as in arbitration forums for more than 19 years on both coasts, and has been privileged to represent Fortune 500 companies and their individual officers, executives of Southern California community college and school districts, and a variety of other companies, large and small, in numerous high-stakes cases. Now, this isn't the first adjustment in representation we've seen in this case. I know Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds had, within the last few weeks, added another attorney for their side. However, I think that attorney may represent the same firm as the other attorneys they had hired. There were rumors that one of their attorneys had called it quits. However, I haven't seen any actual credible sources of that or anything on the docket to indicate that's true. And the New York Times also added another attorney. Now, before we get into talking about the subpoena and the complaints filed by Stephanie Jones, let me remind you guys that Jennifer Abel and the other parties who are defendants named in Stephanie Jones' complaint, they have not yet responded to this complaint. Right now, it seems like they have 11 more days, so they have until March 20th, which is when a lot of these things are due, unless those dates change, which I'll let you know if that updates. Before I explain why Stephanie Jones may actually have a decent case against Jennifer Abel and Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer, this case relating to contractual obligations with publicists, even if Wayfarer and Justin were to lose that case, it does not mean he harassed anyone. It does not mean he had some weird conspiracy against Blake Lively. It just means that he may need to pay some money that he owes per his contract with the Publicist. Now, as for why I think Stephanie Jones may actually have a valid case against Justin, Wayfarer, Jennifer Abel, Melissa, Nathan, etc., Jennifer Abel seems to have made some very irresponsible mistakes. Take a look at this part of the JonesWorks complaint here. By the time Jones became aware of the plot in August 2024 and terminated Abel, it was too late and the damage was done. Abel had already stolen more than 70 proprietary and sensitive business documents and additional client leads from JonesWorks. Beyond those documents, Abel left JonesWorks with Baldoni and Wayfarer in tow and immediately opened shop at her own competing firm, which she had set up while still working at JonesWorks. She further sought to poach employees in violation of the non-compete and non-solicitation provisions in her contract, and for their part, encouraging Abel and leaving with her, Wayfarer and Baldoni breached their own contract with JonesWorks and then poured salt in the wound by baselessly refusing to pay the remaining amount owed. Abel and Nathan's covert takedown and smear campaigns were revealed in black and white on Abel's company-issued phone following her termination, which JonesWorks forensically preserved and examined in detail after receiving a subpoena for the phone's contents. So she did get a subpoena. We're not going to see a lot of subpoenas on the public record. I see some confusion about Stephanie Jones taking Jennifer Abel's phones, but the fact is it was actually a company-owned device. And then when Blake Lively filed her CCRD complaint and precursor, which you can see as exhibits in Jed Wallace's lawsuit against Blake Lively in Texas, it's attached to his complaint. When she filed that, it's possible that she did get a subpoena for the records that JonesWorks had, because it is possible in some cases to get a subpoena before a lawsuit has been filed, but I don't think we're going to actually have a definitive answer for how that happened until later on. People will say, well, where's this subpoena? I don't see the subpoena. Well, we can't. You're not going to see the subpoena. Just like we didn't see the subpoenas that Blake made for the phone records. We saw the lawyers' documents, letters to the judge arguing back and forth about those subpoenas, but we did not see the subpoenas themselves because some of this stuff isn't public. Jones discovered the breadth and intensity of Abel and Nathan's duplicity from these records, including that Abel was actively encouraging other JonesWorks clients and employees to leave JonesWorks while Abel was still employed there. Here's an example of Jennifer Abel being really irresponsible, putting this in writing. This has nothing to do with Justin, but Jennifer Abel may have kind of fucked herself. Indeed, when JonesWorks information technology personnel disabled Abel's access to access to JonesWorks servers after discovering her unauthorized downloading activity, Abel boasted that she was still able to steal all of the documents and information she needed to form her own competing firm. So somebody says to Jennifer, oof, did you get everything you needed before she did all of that? And then Jennifer Abel responds, yes, pretty much. I have my way around that shit because I have like hundreds of different emails for each domain that I own so she can suck it. Don't get me wrong. It's a wonderful feeling when you don't like someone and they do something mean to you to be able to tell them to suck it. However, if you're gonna do all this dumb shit ahead of time, you might want to keep it in your pants. As much as I want to say Justin and Wayfair did nothing wrong ever at any point in time, there may have actually been some contractual issues going on with the former publicist, and I want to keep an open mind to that, because I don't feel like we've seen enough to make a determination on that yet. It would just mean that he didn't fulfill his contractual obligations with the publicist once he terminated business with them. I'm not saying that's what happened, I'm saying I'm keeping an open mind because I don't know. And that's not a glowing endorsement of Stephanie Jones either. As I've said before, this complaint filed by Stephanie Jones is riddled with middle school gossip and stuff that had nothing to do with her complaint at all. It was petty. However, there are some signs of a legitimate complaint in here. Two things can be true. Somebody can be a terrible person or a wacko for an employer, but also the person on the other end of that still has to fulfill their contractual obligations. And in reading over the full publicist complaint, it seems like Jennifer Abel went wrong in a lot of ways. And I'm sure Justin and Wayfair and, all these parties will come back and try to provide a reason for why they don't owe them money or why they didn't break contractual obligations. And I look forward to reading more about that because I don't know. After reading this, I don't know. Anyways, guys, that's just a recap of some of the drama in the Publicist lawsuit that I wanted to go over with you guys, since the Publicist did have like a big role to play in that protective order hearing. I'm going to keep an eye out on the docket, and I'm expecting the judge to rule on that protective order this week. So, I will be right on that as soon as it comes out. See you all soon.